So the euro coming up into resistance, prospects of a sell-off before the onward move up into stops. That is my. I can't see screen, only voice. Has that always been the case for you guys? I'm just letting Yohei know. People saying they can't see the screen. What exactly are you seeing then? You're just seeing the purple dots. I mean, if you disconnect and reconnect, that seems to work for some people. Tried it, still doesn't work, eh? Yeah, others see it. It's bizarre. This Discord is very temperamental, very frustrating. Working very hard here for you guys, preparing these charts up until way past my bedtime last night. 4 hours sleep, coming back to the screens, and it's very disappointing. I'm doing my best, and I will raise it again, and we'll see if we can't come up with a solution, a permanent solution to this. Well, it's disappointing because there's some good content here, and then we picked up on some good trades this week, and I want the same for you guys. Anyway, so for those that can see the screen, congratulations, and for those that can't, we have a video that I'll post as soon as I can. It will be out before what I presume to be the window of opportunity, which is generally around the New York Open. Between 9 New York and 10 are generally where we're going to see these fast or these moves that don't necessarily need to all come to fruition within half an hour. I mean, sometimes they can, but they are generally moves that don't come back, and you can scale into them as the market continues to go in that direction with very little heat put on you, because there's very little in the way of reversal, rather than getting chopped up. These markets sort of come back and get in too early and so forth. Anyway, so with this euro, what we're looking for here then, I mean, there might be a scalp opportunity, but you need to see a break in structure. So if we come down to the 15-minute chart, and we will identify the structure. So we've started from the low, right, all the way over here. We've come up, pull back. We've come up, pull back, structure, pull back, structure. So we're looking for the higher highs. Do we get a higher high? Just about. So that structure there. Higher high. Yeah. Higher low, structure here. Higher high. So that is the structure over here, okay, on the 15-minute chart. So until the market breaks below that low, it is still in a technical uptrend. It's not breaking down, and there's nothing to do. But we can note that it's starting to peak out in resistance. So we're in anticipation of a break of that low. Excuse me, I had to pause the screen and sneeze. That'll be picked up on the video, but not by you guys live, so lucky for you. Right. So, that's the euro. Let's see if that pays off later on. Dollar Swiss. Someone was asking why that rallied. Don't know. No idea why. but it's in line with the general bullish sentiment that we drew yesterday, staying above that structure low and continuing up. So there's no surprise that it's gone up, but I can't tell you what the catalyst for that was, for that actual move. Big player in the market, who knows? But we get what we see, we trade what we see. So in this respect, so you've got day one longs in the markets. You've had a pullback into those longs, right into here, taking out stops with those wicks, and then we've got an aggressive move to the upside. Potentially some institution or something behind the move. So that's great, and that gives us information. We like to see this because we know that buyers are in the market, and we've got an upside bias to the long side. If we do get a pullback, then we can be in anticipation that we can safeguard any entry with a stop below the lows, figuring that institutional money is in the market and they're going to protect. That's the thesis, that they're going to protect below here. They're obviously looking for orders up high. They're targeting up high for whatever reason it is, and we can trade alongside that move. Trade alongside them in that move. So there may be a pullback, we don't know, but you can monitor for it. It's a displaced market. Will we get the pullback? Where will the pullback come into? We don't know. But we can position for it in case it does. So we can put in a buy limit down here, the origin of that move, in anticipation of a pullback, stop below the lows, anticipating the move up into last week's highs. In the same regard, we've got this pump up ahead of the New York Open. So if this is going to get filled down low, then the market's got to come down. Therefore, we can look to sell. And in doing so, we're going to look for structure. Where are our higher lows? We'll do that with the 5-minute chart. And that's down here at the moment. Well, you can argue that it's up there. So you have that pullback, broken that structure now. And then over here as well. That's intact still. Okay. So we'll just come up to a cleaner chart. It's all a bit clogged up. So essentially, guys, this is a market that is rising. The question is this going to keep going on up and create a higher high? And that will be a strong low. So will this, a weak high. So we're targeting up here to test that as a high. But we could be in anticipation of a pullback prior to the next move up. So we're just monitoring this market to see if we can get that pullback. We've already broken, as I said, the structure here. However, let me just look at this properly. So, no, I would ignore that. I'm not going to take that as a broken structure. Reason being is that the actual high was on the candle that broke the structure itself. So it's kind of, it's its own structure. So we can mark that as the structure that needs to break, because that was the low and the high. So that's the high low in the same candle and a higher high. So that's still intact. So until we get a break of that structure, I'm not even looking at this market yet. Now, when it does break structure, if it does, then that is only giving me, it's like a trigger. It's a heads up, and I'm looking for the market to come back up into the peak formation for a retest. And at that point, and only at that point, will I be looking for my opportunity to short down towards the origin of the move. So we'll put that on the watch list. And we'll see how we'll monitor that as we approach the Wall Street Open, keeping an eye on the US dollar. Again, we want to see weakness in the dollar come through. Currently it's correcting higher, up in towards resistance on the Dixie. This is resistance low down as well. So we'll just see if that pans out. If not, then we'll have to monitor things from a different perspective. So we've covered up to dollar yen. Dollar yen. So dollar yen is now on the backside of this trend. It broke the hourly low. Let's have a look what that looks like on the 15-minute. Yeah, okay, so we've broken the structure here. That can be regarded as broken structure. Backside of the trend, we're looking for a sell-off. So we're coming up high potentially to sell off. So we had day one longs in the market. We had another day of longs in the market. And then on day three, we're looking for a squeeze of those longs for a short. Day three, and a breakdown of this market. Again, looking for dollar weakness. So we're keeping an eye on this. So dollar yen is looking pretty good, isn't it? So we've broken structure. We've come back up into what could be the high. Hi Ross, can't see your screen. Can you share your setup in full a picture like this? Yes. So let's look at the dollar yen in an image for you. There you go. So if you look at that image, you've got day one, day two, day three. So day one, longs. Day two, longs. Day three, we're looking for that trend now is broken. The market is sliding on the backside of it. It's broken down these lows. these higher lows. Okay, it's broken that down in that move. It's come back up into the peak formation, very typical. So we're looking for this now to peter out and potentially give us a setup for the short. Okay, so we've got this micro bullish trend line in place now for that to break down. Yeah, and then this near-term structure here is acting as support currently. It's already been broken over there. It's acting as support again. Ideally, I want this to keep coming up, dragging in breakout traders through 143.50 as a round psychological number. The highs of the day, or yesterday at least, we're already testing the highs of the day so far. So if we can get up into here and then show signs of capitulation, and that will be the trade for the short, and that may take some time to play out. So we're just keeping an eye on that. Okay, so I've just made a little video. Take a few minutes to upload, and I'll post that in there as well. Okay. Especially for you. There you go. Right. GBP I'm being asked for. Essentially a mirror image of the euro. Same scenario as dollar yen as well. Day one, day two, day three, looking for. Oh, that is dollar yen. That's why. Okay. Um, right then, cable inside day stops above. Stops are above that inside day high for sure. Could be a target at some point. So we had failure at the week highs. Didn't manage to break out of Fridays. So day one, day two shorts, day three. Day three has started the day moving up, back down. So we squeezed the whatever remaining shorts were left in that market on Tuesday was squeezed in the open today, and thanks to the European traders that took us right up, and that has built the thesis for a continuation to the downside. And I think I was saying yesterday that cable was about the only pair out there that didn't really rhyme with dollar weakness, and it's continuing to show me that at the moment. So I'm not really interested in cable. I can't see anything that I can rationalize with. It seems to be doing a thing of its own. Yeah, you see, if anything, it looks like a broken down market, but it doesn't. Again, it doesn't play into the dollars bearish theme. It broke those lows, came right back up in a stop hunt of that sell-off. Where is this going? Can't make sense of it, I'm afraid. Seems bearish to me. So I'm looking for opportunities elsewhere. This isn't a market that's showing any signs of opportunity, really. It seems to me that we're stacking up high to come into these longs. We pull our charts out to the weekly, see if we get any directional bias. So long above, staying bullish while above overall, while above this low. Looks like it's trying to top out up in resistance. So that's the weekly outlook. So it's trying to, it doesn't, seems like it's trying to top out here and come lower. It's coiling for a breakout of either continuation or a move lower. If you look at that on the daily chart, it might be a bit clearer. So it's sort of coiling front side of the bearish trend. It's broken structure on the inside of that bearish trend. It's come back up into the trend line. Are we looking for that squeeze to the downside, squeezing out those longs for a test of this key support structure over here? And again, it doesn't tie into the bearish thesis that we have for the US dollar. So maybe this will consolidate for the day in here. If we do get a weaker dollar, maybe euro sterling will be a nice short. So look at euro sterling. Euro sterling, the 4 hour could be a nice shorting opportunity, as I just mentioned, given the cable looks to be stuck, and the euro could be more vulnerable to the dollar than what the pound is looking like at the moment, and that could create a sell-off into this W formation on the euro sterling. If we go down to the 15-minute chart, obviously it's already started to play out. This break of trendline support, now regarded as counter trendline resistance. If we come down to the 5-minute chart, we might see some structure that's already been broken. So the last low was over here before the high, and we're trying to break below that. The head and shoulders in the 5-minute. You've got that unmitigated area of potential supply. So the prospects are going to move lower, stop above those highs, and target into the neckline of the formation, leaving someone for a runner if this does break the neckline. Got that neckline high in there, we'll work our way down to the lows. however you want to do that, but that could be an opportunity in euro sterling. Euro sterling is generally a slow burner. I'm not in anticipation of any fast moves. You have to sit through it, but nonetheless, there is a trade set up on the thesis that the pound is strong, stronger than the euro. Euro more vulnerable to US dollar weakness, strength. Um, okay, so now if you want to be conservative, you can have the stop above the highs. 2 for 1, 2 to 1 risk, reward to risk. Stop loss higher up, and your entry higher up as well. If you think that market's got some potential to come right up into the wick, wherever you want to play that. But that's an interesting setup for the day. DXY. So looking at the DXY, again, we're looking for weakness to come in. It's currently firm. We're looking for the weakness at some point. So this is exactly what we want to see prior to the Wall Street Open. You know, we're happy to see this market rise into resistance because then we'll be in anticipation of the market rolling over, melting, and that'll be fueling dollar yen sell-off, euro dollar sell-off. No one's asked about gold, which is surprising. Let's move into gold. So gold, this was talked about when? At the end of New York, we were looking for the move up. So we got that in Asia, started the move, and we are now seeing the price move back into that move. Again, what we're in anticipation of is a deceleration in the US dollar strength, driven by a rise in US yields. Yields look as though they're already starting to cap out on that hourly chart. Should do wonders for our thesis for a weaker dollar. Therefore, we can be looking as this gold price potentially starts to decelerate. We can start looking for bullish structure to buy and run high. That's the thesis. Now, mind you, obviously, we are on the back side of the front side of that bearish trend. So I'm not encouraging anyone to buy while we are on the front side of that trend. What I want to see is a move out of that trend, turning to counter trendline support. And building so that would be, at the moment, that's going, so that's a fresh low that we're seeing imprinted almost, pretty much, I guess. So this here will be the structure on the hourly chart and 15-minute probably as well. Look at it. So that there, we need to see that structure break. At the moment, for an upside bias, if this starts building lower structure, which would be ideal, and then we print a lower low, then we bring the structure breakout point lower, and then we get a better entry, better prospect of an entry and a move up later in the day. Now, obviously, I've drawn that on the hourly chart. We want to see all this pan out on the much lower time frames, like the 15-minute, and happen all within our New York session. So I'm moving this all the way over to here. A scrambled mess, but you get the point. What is the name from the chart 10-year. So if you type in bonds, BONDS, and you'll have the 10-year, the 2-year, the 30-year in all of the various important economies. So we're looking in particular today at the US 10-year. You can look at the 2-year as well to give you an insight as to what's going on there. So these are still bid. We're looking for those to come off as well as the 10-year. And that should fuel US dollar weakness. That's the theory. Dollar CAD. So we've got a nice trade out of dollar CAD yesterday. That's short. We talked about the prospects of a move up into the shorts, only to capitulate for a continuation to the downside, working away at these trendline supports, horizontal supports down here. That's the target. So day one shorts, we're looking for day two shorts for the price to be driven lower. And again, we need US dollar weakness to come through. Any other pairs, guys, you want me to look at? We're encroaching on higher volatility timing in the market. So time to pull up your sleeves, pick your pairs that are looking like they could give you something. Keep scanning those currencies, keep watching that US dollar for weakness. If we get US dollar weakness, we could get some decent trades out of this market today. We want to be selling the stuff that's up high against the dollar, or down low against the dollar, but you know what I mean. So dollar yen, we're up high. So the higher we come up, the better reward we're going to get if we get our timings right. Get a good entry. Dollar yen, dollar Swiss, pump up. Well, we're looking for the market to come down into that pump. So you might get a scalp out of that before the next move up, or you'll be just looking to buy low if the dollar's going to stabilize. Euro dollar. I don't know how far this is going to come down. Gold, we've already just looked at that. The CAD, we've looked at. So those are the pairs that I'm looking at versus the US dollar. The Aussie we haven't looked at. Probably should. Let's clear all this up. This was the trade we got yesterday from that pump up. Buying low, the low of the session. Nice trade that was. Nice W formation. So we've started out Asia, offered, bid, squeezing higher. Dollar strength coming through, weighing heavily on the Aussie as what's going on out there. Stocks, what are they doing? Not a lot. So the Aussie is vulnerable to Chinese economy weakness, perhaps. So it might not be the best currency to be trading against the US dollar if there is bearish sentiment around the Aussie due to China. But nevertheless, we've got this drop coming down into support. So long as the support holds, then we can be looking for the correction and squeeze of those shorts. Just be the stop hunt ahead of the next move up. This is day one, day two. Longs came in the market, they're being squeezed. Maybe we'll see them re-emerge later on in the session. Good morning, Pat. So, should we call it a day there, guys? I think we've all got a lot to go and work with on the charts from this. And be patient. Wait for things to set up. Don't just buy because they're low. I'm not just going to buy that Aussie because it's dropped towards the low. I want to see things set up. When I say things set up, that will be on the lower time frames. So looking for a deceleration in this move lower. If we get that deceleration, then the market's going to start setting up. So we'll get a break of structure. Maybe we'll get a lower low. So we'll get a move down, move up. So a lower high, a lower low. That will be our structure. If we break out of that structure, we're in anticipation of the pullback. And then on the lower time frames again, you can be on the 5 minute, the 1 minute, looking for bullish candlestick formations. That could be a double bottom. So you can have a W formation, right? And then if you get a candle that's like a small bodied candle, and then you get an engulfment of that, right? That's your momentum candle. So you've already broken structure. This is on a 5 minute chart, can be on a 1 minute chart. You can throw on a moving average. So if you get, let's say, I've got one here. So let's take what happened on this drop, for example. Right, so we're on the 5 minute chart on this. We're in a bull trend. So at this point, we weren't doing anything until we got a break of the trend line support. So we're breaking that trend line support. And with the MAs, it's giving you guidance as to the market now is in a bearish environment. In a bearish environment with broken structure. The structure was here. We've now broken that. We've got that pin bar. We've got that engulfing candle. And that could be a short. Target. Perhaps down here. I'm going to bring a stop in if you're confident. How aggressive you want to be. Maybe targeting those levels. So those were highs from those were last week's lows. So all this volume, say it's up, trapped up top, targeting last week's lows. Yeah, lows. right? So you're taking some money off, you might be adding some money on, you might be moving your stock to break even. But that's just to give you an example of what you're sort of looking for. You've got this double top that we talked about, and you've got the breakdown of the trend line, the breakdown um, of that last higher low before the higher high. It's acting as support again. You've got that lower high to sort of confirming that that's a strong high. This is a weak low. That's your thesis anyway. I mean, we never know until after the fact, but at least you can be in anticipation of what this is looking like. You've got the breakout, there's that three push, the pullback, very common, and then you've got that topping candle formation that was engulfed, breaking those lows. So that's your cue to say, well, that's as good as entry that I'm probably going to find. You've got a double top, lower high, break of structures all over the place, momentum candles, engulfments. I mean, that's, you can't ask for more than that. And that's giving you your entry. It's below the MA that I talked about. Your entry was below that MA in a bearish environment. So those are the sorts of setups that we're looking for. So everything we've done up to date is giving us a thesis that dollar yen at some point is likely to sell off and squeeze those longs. And if that's the case, then like I've seen or just shown you with what we were looking at there, I can't remember what currency pair it was. But we're looking for that double top, the break of structures, break of trendline support, all of that coming together, as well as being on the other side of the moving averages, perhaps. You don't have to use those anyway. Put them there as a guide sometimes. And then deciding what you're prepared to risk, sticking with your trade plan, deciding before you enter the trade, where your levels of target levels are going to be, what you're going to do at those levels. Are you going to take some off, or are you going to add some on because you're convinced that this market is just going to keep going and not look back? When are you going to move to break even, and so forth. So there we go, guys. I hope that was of value to you all. And if you've got any further questions, let me know now. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up, and I'll see you in the Ask Our Analysts section on Discord. Okay, so 5, 4, 3. Rafazo's writing. JJ's writing. I don't know if you got a chance. You wanted me to look at that stock. I do apologise. Please write what the stock was called again. UPST. Upstart Holdings. Right, let's go out to a daily chart for you on this. Clean it up entirely. So we've broken that structural low, and this one here as well. Very strong bear market, my friend. Nonetheless, it is M formation, pullback in the offing. Right, well, if we can get above those lows on a closing basis on the daily chart, then there'll be prospects of a correction, continuation, and you have those old lows aligning just below 50% mean reversion. The bulk of that was actually higher up at the 50% mean reversion, so that would be a target area to go for, or be an anticipation of the market decelerating around about 50% mean reversion, but the bias is definitely short coming into that trend. All these longs, all these traders that are in the money, investors, are getting squeezed. So we broke that near-term trend. Dynamic support has been broken. It's a broken down market coming in towards this trendline support or at it, and it can be an anticipation of a correction, which is already starting to do. So potentially correcting up to come lower on a daily basis, and then moving in on the hourly chart. If you want something more near term, then I don't know why I've got all this shading in the background. It's something to do with training view. I certainly don't want any of that stuff in the background. I can't see what I'm doing. Session breaks off doesn't help either. So I don't know what those shading, what that shading is. It's something to do with the stock itself. Well, I don't look at stocks, I'm afraid, so I don't know what that is. But anyway, where are we? So well, on the hourly chart, it looks as though it doesn't want to come back yet. Break of structure, pull back in the offing, maybe a continuation to the downside is the trade for today. So maybe a pullback, slow progress at the moment before a move lower. And obviously this was live market. Front side of the bear trend. Maybe a sell off from the trend line if it comes up into there. Alright, hope that helps. Okay guys, I'm going to wrap up and I'll see you in the other chat rooms. And have a great day ahead. Thank you for being here. Much appreciated.